Alright guys, what is going on? Today's video, I'm going to talk about 3 mods that I actually regret buying and purchasing for my Cam Ram 1500 right there. So, before we get started on that, I'm going to get you a nice cold start in the Ram. It's been a couple of days since we started it up. The cutout is actually closed right now, and I'm not going to start it with the cutout open. I'm going to do a cutout, wait for the chop. We're going to go for a little drive, and I'm going to tell you the 3 mods that I actually regret buying for this Ram. That's the wife's Durango. No, that is not my new vehicle. I don't have the new vehicle yet. I don't know when that's happening yet. We're going to wait till possibly a little later on in the year to do that. It's definitely happening, but just not right away with the new baby coming and everything else that's going on right now. We will have one though, but yes, we're going to get a cold start in the Ram, and then we're going to talk about the 3 mods that I regret buying.
Success is at the end of the tunnel, and greatness is waiting for you.
Alright, yes, I know I don't have a tripod. Actually, I do have a tripod. I just don't know where it is, and I can't find it. So we're doing this the old-fashioned way. It's very hot out, so it may not be the coldest cold start. Alright guys, now like I said, there's 3 main mods that I regret buying for this Ram. Now, the first mod I'm going to list, it's not a bad mod at all, and it'll work very well with a lot of different setups. It actually worked decent for mine too. It just wasn't optimal, and that is the Mickey Thompson ET Street Art bias ply tires. Not the Mickey Thompson ET Street R radials. They're completely different tire, completely different compound and everything. Now the reason I say like I consider that still a good tire. I had a lot of good so the sun is literally coming down now because of the time. So if it's glaring on my face, I'm gonna make a turn so you guys don't have the sun glare. But I got the 28 by 11.5 by 17 Mickey Thompson ET Street R bias ply tires. And they were recommended by Jay because he's, you know, with the big stall that I have, a 4,000 stall, and I wanted something that I could drive back and forth to the track with no issues. And the ET Street R bias ply was a bias ply tire that could handle the grunt of the hit of the stall, and you know what I mean. It was at the time I thought it was the best choice. Now, to be honest with you, I should have went with what Jay recommended from the very, very beginning. He recommended Hoosiers, the Hoosier Slicks, 28, 10, 17 Hoosier Slicks that I eventually got. And, you know, that compound on that was much better than the ET Street R bias ply compound. Like I said, the ET Street R bias ply is a very good tire. But I also have a 4,000 stall that actually flashes higher than 4,000. And a lot of the times it will grab, and then the other time, with a bias ply, even when you spin, you still hook at the same time, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a full-on dead-blown run when I had my M&H Race Masters on there. They hooked great. But once I put the big stall in, I hooked, I think, one time. It was like the first run ever. I dead hooked. It was gone. Could never hook again with them, no matter how hard I tried, unless I left off the converter, like left it like $2-3 grand, eased into it, and then hit it. And it was definitely going about a 10th or so slower on the 60. So I went and got the Mickey Thompson ET Street R bias plies. And the reason I say I regret buying it, because honestly I should have got the Hoosier Slicks right away. Now Now, when I eventually got the Hoosier slicks, I almost had no traction issues. Everyone's gonna have traction issues some of the times, but I barely had traction issues. I had not as much. You know what I mean? And they hooked 99 times better than the ET Street Art bias ply. Now, the ET Street Art bias ply comes with a compound, it's the M5 compound. The ET Street Art Radial is a much better tire. They come with the R2 compound, which is super soft, super grippy, and that is going to be the most likely the tire that I'm going to be going with the Whipple, because with a Whipple, I want to run an ET Street Art Radial tire. So that's most likely the plan. But yeah, I should have went with the Hoosiers from the beginning, just like Jay said, and I did after a little bit, and they landed me better, and I actually love the Hoosiers. I just wanted a DOT tire to drive on the street, so I literally just drove the Hoosiers back and forth to the track, and that was it. So that's the number one thing. Well, number three, however you want to list this. All right, the number two on my list is the Rancho XL 9000 rear shocks that I got. Now, the reason I went with the Ranchos and over the QA1s or Vikings was simply because they're made for four-wheel drive vehicles. They're made for off-road four-wheel drive vehicles. Yes, they are 9-way, fully adjustable, and they actually did work. I'm not denying they weren't like the worst product ever, nothing like that. But QA1 shocks, I'm pretty sure on their website it recommends it for lower vehicles. I'm not sure how low. So I wasn't sure what to do. The Rancho said stock height. I'm only lowered 2 inches in the rear, so it's very close to stock, but it actually is lower. It makes a big difference, the look from being leveled to being jacked up in the rear some. And the Ranchos, I wanted matching. Ranchos made a full adjustable 9-way strut in the front for four-wheel drive guys. It's really hard to find adjustable struts for, like, I guess you could say racing, because I race this. This is the drag. This is like my drag truck now. If you're new to the channel, we have a Whipple supercharger that is coming to this. We have we have a lot of modifications NA right now, and we have a Whipple supercharger that'll be going on as soon as I get next one more fuel system pump in. But besides the point. But the Ranchos, I'm not denying, actually worked very well. When I adjusted them to where they worked good, but they weren't the best option at the time. I really wanted the QA1. I wasn't sure. I want to tell you right now, I do have the QA1 single adjustables right now, and they are amazing. They drive so much nicer, so much more adjustment. They're 18-way adjustable, and the reason I say the Ranchos, I avoid buying them because after like a month or so, there was nothing but clunking in the rear. And every single time you hit anything, I felt like the shock was going to just blow out or something like that. And reading online, they actually are known very well to be clunky. And I did not like that. I did not want to be driving around clunk, 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 clunk all the time, because you never know. Anything could blow out with that clunking going around. So that's one of the main reasons I'm like, all right, when I did another modification that I'm going to name as my number one, we upgraded to the QA1 shocks, obviously, and yeah, that's my second regret, buying the Ranchos over the QA1s. I should have went right to the QA1 shocks from the beginning, and you know what I mean, have no issues. I really like the QA1. It's a great shock. It's doing great so far on the truck. So yeah, that's number two, fellas. All right, guys. Now the number one mod that I should have never bought, and I will say it's absolute trash, piece of crap. Not going to say it's good for anybody. I would not recommend this at the time. I did not know is the Yukon rear differential for the Rams. Absolute trash unit. Oh, geez. I broke my first unit after, I broke the transmission and the rear from a wheel hop day at the track. It wheel hopped really bad, and I sheared off the output shaft of the transmission. And at the same time, we broke the rear, but the rear didn't break right then and there. It took time and time again at the drag strip. You're clicking. The rear eventually went, but it didn't shatter like this piece of crap Yukon did. After I think 2 months of maybe, I don't know, 20 passes on the Yukon, bam, shattered it. Shattered the spider gears all in the unit. Now, I went with that because me and Steve, my mechanic, we were looking online, and Yukon I thought was pretty good from a lot of people's perspective. Yukon had great units in in the past and on other vehicles. People said, yo, Yukon makes great diffs, Randy's Worldwide, this and that. So bam, there was a great sale going. This is all brand new on eBay too. It was a great sale. It had everything you needed, from the gears to the carrier to the master install kit, everything you needed. I didn't need to buy anything else except for gear oil, which I bought the gear oil off Summit that they recommended. So there's no issues there. Bing bang boom, installed it. At first I think it was great, and the first time I actually broke it was actually on the way to the track. That's how crappy this thing was. I was on my way to the track, in traffic, gave it a little gas, hit the brakes, and bam, blew the rear out. Like, it didn't completely shatter like the second time it actually broke, but the spider gears, after I drove up, I felt banging in the rear, and that's when I knew it was done. I was like, on my way to the track, about to race, had a good race lined up that day, great weather, negative 1,000 DA, going for my own record pass, and we couldn't even race. I had to get a tow truck called, and then I wanted to just like replace the spider gears to get back as fast as possible, not have to go to a whole new unit, take it apart. So you can actually order just the rebuildable spider gear. So I ordered the rebuildable spider gears. Steve came by, took him a couple hours, took the unit apart, did the spider gears without taking the unit out, no problem. I'm like, all right, maybe it was a fluke and it didn't break. And I was hearing nightmare stories after I bought it, but I was really hoping it was a fluke. And I think maybe 4 or 5 passes. No, I think it was that the first day I raced at the track this year. Maybe 4 or 5 passes, I blew it out. I broke it again. It was, and I did do a whole new setup, but I'm still on the same stall. I still got a cam. Now we have ported heads. It was a bigger cam, and we blew that unit right out, like not even trying. So that is Yukon's diff. Absolutely terrible for the Rams. I do not recommend it. We should have went with just another Mopar unit from the beginning, and probably right now the Mopar unit would still be in this truck, but it's not. We actually have a Detroit True Track rear for this truck, and they are absolutely great. They're holding up to Moe's Performance 1,000 horsepower Ram, Jay Greene's 426 NA almost 600 wheel Ram, and every big boy Ram. They're holding up no problem. Yeah, Matt from Moe's actually broke his pinion before the rear. He broke his shaft before the rear. That thing's a 1,000 horsepower Ram that does wheelies in actual street mode. 5,000 pound truck, 9-second truck. So yeah, the differential holding up great. So that is one thing that I'm very happy about with this, because when you get the Whipple on, the differential will hold. Because I was nervous about like anything else that I did, maybe the diff would break, maybe the diff wouldn't break. And now that I got the Detroit, Jesus Christ, I got ran the crap out of a red light. The Detroit True Track rear, we can not have to worry so much. Actually, I don't really, I'm always in the back of my head, anything can break in racing, and it has. Anything can break at any time, because what we're doing is, we got the Whipple supercharger coming on probably a couple of weeks. I know, I've been waiting. It's like a waiting game. I got it in about a month ago, but we're still waiting on the booster pump to come in. The booster pump was recommended by Nick from Whipple Superchargers, and Jay. Yes, you could do a drop-in filter, a drop-in aftermarket fuel pump, but hooking up to the stock electronics could cause fires, and that's, I didn't want any issues. But I'm seeing a couple Hellcat guys running like 1200 wheel, and you can make plenty of power with the booster pumps, and it's the safest, and it might be the cheapest. Not the cheapest, like without taking the fuel pump out. I don't know. Steve, I'm gonna have Steve do it all. He's my man. He's my mechanic that does all my work. So he's going to be doing the fuel system. He's going to be doing the Whipple, all that good stuff when we get it in. We do have another big mod coming in, guys, and I don't know if it'll be here before or after. It might be right around the same time as a Whipple, so maybe we could get it done within the same time frame. That'll be really cool, but I'm not going to spoil that. Not many people have this at all. I will say not many guys have this mod, and it's something that I need to do with the Whipple, so that'll be here very, very shortly. But yeah, guys, those are the 3 mods that I regret doing. Like I said, 2 of the mods isn't really a full regret. It is a full regret. I regret doing them over the mods that I have now and over the mods I should have got from the beginning. But for some guys, they work great and they've had no issues. For me, not the best. So then the Yukon rear was absolute trash. I probably should have just went with another OEM Mopar unit. but I didn't. I tried to save a couple bucks, go Yukon, thinking it was the best choice. Man, that sun is right in my face. But it wasn't the best choice, it was the worst choice, and I've been having rear issues since I got it. So now we are built rear, we're good to go. We're just waiting on parts and waiting to do what we can do, man, and hit the track and, you know, go over some record passes that we can kill it. All right, guys, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, turn your notification bell on so you don't miss the best Ram content on YouTube. That's what I